Good morning, class.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, class. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
How are you, everyone? Fine?
Fine, ma'am. How are you?
Me too, fine. आज हामीले के पढ्ने भनेको थियो रे मैले हिजो के पढ्ने भनेको थिएँ माई मदर नेभर वर्क हो यसै भनेको थिएँ है माई मदर नेभर वर्क भने होला सायद ओके ओन्ली डटर वी रेड नो माई मदर नेभर वर्कड ओके टर्न इट प्लिज अब यहाँको पेज नम्बर मिल्दैन होला हजुरहरुलाई यदि मेरो बुकसँग म्याच हुन्छ भने दैट इज इन पेज नम्बर 114 त्यो सानो हैन ठुलो बुक छ भने इट्स 114 ओके My mother never worked. What do you think about your mother? How you see? Will you describe your mother, please?
Ma'am, page 140 भन्दा हैन
14.
ए
How do you describe your mother? Anyone? Plus Ipsika, how do you describe your mother? Caring. जिके हो र यो भन भन्दै जाऊ न. How is your mother? She is caring.
Yes, caring, loving,
Loving.
sometimes angry,
हजुर हजुर.
sometimes angry,
Sometimes becomes angry. Sometimes she shouts. हैन. अरु विमल. विमल. Hello विमल. विमल, where are you? Bhabin. Bhabin.
हजुर
Bhabin.
हजुर म्याम
How do you describe your mother?
loving
Mm.
and help in every situation, whether we are wrong or bad.
Mm. त्यति हो. घरभित्र चाहिँ कचकच कचकच गरिसिन्छ होइन, यो भएन त्यो भएन, ए मेरो दिदीको छोरी यस्तो, छोरा यस्तो, फलानुको यस्तो, यसको यस्तो, मेरो चाहिँ किन यस्तो, होइन. Whenever she meets with some new one, she starts talking about her children with some other people. Then she says, आजसम्म केही भन्नै परेको छैन, यति ज्ञानी छ, यति ज्ञानी थिए, यस्तो त उसलाई चाहिँदै चाहिँदैन. हो कि होइन?
हजुर
What is this? What is this then?
माया
This is the actual love, and which is drawn by our parents, not only mother, our father too, our parents. Actually, our parents, no one can replace that position. So here, we are going to read, my mother never worked. My mother never worked. Title ले भन्छ, मेरी आमाले कहिल्यै काम गर्नु भएन. My mother never worked. Written by Bonnie Smith Ackle. My mother never worked. Written by Bonnie Smith Ackle. This is very interesting essay. It's an essay, very interesting essay, and it gets a match with us too. Every mothers, हैन, आमा त आखिर सबैको एउटै नै हो. Every mothers are matched in this essay. Not only those mothers, and we mothers too. No, we parents, we are going to be father and mother. Upcoming parents, हामी upcoming parents सँग पनि यो ठ्याक्कै मिल्ने essay हो. So what she talks over here? What is over here? यसैले के भन्छ, यसैमा कस्तो इभेन्टहरु छ भने, actually what do you think about your mother at home? घरमा तिमीहरु के भन्छौ आमालाई? What your mother does? She is housewife.
हजुर
She is working. She goes office. What?
हाउसवाइफ
Almost our mothers are housewife, no? Almost.
Yes, sir.
Does she has any work at home? Every day cooking, every day washing, every day scolding, every day shouting, every day looking. घरमा केही छ त काम?
गरेपछि थाहा हुन्छ.
केही छैन. छ र? Do anyone of you return back from when you return back from outside, even when you return back from your college, हैन, क्लासबाट, स्कुल कलेजबाट फर्किसके पछाडी पनि, Do you ask your mother that, Mom, how are you? So, please,
No.
do
No,
you
ma'am.
ask?
No, ma'am.
घरै बस्नेलाई के सोध्नु होइन?
हजुर.
परे भने आमालाई किन सोधिरहनु पर्यो? When your father returned back from work, whatever the work, no office work, whatever, have you listened any day your father asking your mother, how was your day? Never,
No.
never. And what our mother says, when you reach to your home, what your mother says to you? Obviously, she will ask where you have been, what happened, then what your friend. Even when you talk about your friend to she says, "An ke bhane त्यसले भन्न?" Do your mother says or not?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Obviously, she says. Obviously, she says. And when your mother starts talking about her friends, होइन छिमेकी होलान्, साथीहरू होलान्, दिदीबहिनी होलान्, and what you will say? तपाईँ के भन्नुहुन्छ अनि? तपाईँहरूको गफ त्यस्तै त हो नि, या ल लिभ इट, यो छोडिदिनु मम्मी, अब यस्तै हो त्यो गफ. Do you anytime concentrate in her talking? Never, never, never. This is what we are ignoring in our life. कमसेकम दिउँसभरि आफू चाहिँ बाहिर घुमेर आउने, अनि त्यो घर बसेको आमालाई कस्तो छ, के छ, दिउँसो के गर्नुभयो भनेर एटलिस्ट त्यति सोध्न पनि नसक्ने सन्तान हामी कस्तो? इमेजिन वान्स.
स्वार्थी.
अब त्यतिसम्म स्वार्थी पनि नबनौँ होइन. नाउ यु रियलाइज, नाउ डोन्ट बी द्याट मच सेल्फिस. ओके. ज्वरो आउँछ मम्मीलाई, ज्वरो आयो भने त्यही ज्वरो आएकै आमाले पानी ल्याइदिए हुन्थ्यो, ज्वरो आएकै आमाले यति पकाउनु त उभिएर पकाइदिए हुन्थ्यो. Yes or no? She does. That also she does. We should not say she does. No? So, mother is such a character, such a person in our home. Every home, there are mothers. मम्मी हुनुहुन्न, ग्रान्ड मदर हुनुहुन्छ होला होइन, हु एभर मदर, कोही छैन, वी आर इन द एज टु बी मदर होइन, वी आर इन द एज टु बी पेरेन्ट्स, द्याट्स नो म्याटर. वाट अबाउट द मदर्स देन? दिस इज वाट बोनी स्मिथ एक्कल हामीले सोचे भन्दा बिल्कुल फरक यसै छ है. कति स्वार्थी, कति आमाको देन कति होइन, घर हाम्रो घरमा एउटा आमाले कति गर्नुहुन्छ, and how much we ignore that and how much we do not care about that. These things are here. So may I read about our writer first? बोनी स्मिथको बारेमा भन्छु है त पहिला, ध्यान दिएर सुन्नुहोस्. Every essays are very important है. Bonnie Smith Ackle was born into a farm family in Wilmar, Minnesota in 1937. एउटा कृषि परिवारमा, किसानी परिवारमा उनको जन्म भयो 1937 मा. She began writing as a young homemaker in the early 1960s. 1960s को सुरुवातदेखि 1937 मा उनी जन्मिन्. 60 मै उनले 22-23 वर्षको उमेरमै she started writing. उनले लेख्न सुरु गरिन्. And for the next 14 years published 30 stories. लेखेको 14 वर्षसम्ममा she published 30 stories, essays and book reviews in such publications as Catholic Digest, Minnesota Monthly and Miss Magazine. These are the publications name. हामीले अहिले publications को नामहरु भन्छौं न, book reviewहरु गरिन्, as well as in several local newspapers. As Smith Ackle explains it, the catalyst for writing the essay shortly after my mother's death. Understand there, okay? The catalyst for writing the essay shortly after my mother's death was recounting my telephone conversation security to the lawyer who was helping me settle my mother's estate. आमाको मृत्यु पछाडि उनको आमाको मृत्यु पछाडि हामी सोशल सेक्युरिटी भनेको के सामाजिक सुरक्षा हाम्रो सोशल सेक्युरिटी फन्ड छ नि सामाजिक सुरक्षा भत्ता आउँछ नि हो कि हैन विधवा भत्ता छ अपाङ्ग भत्ता छ अशक्तता भत्ता छ वृद्ध भत्ता छ यो सबै सोशल सेक्युरिटी फन्डमै पर्छ र उनले उनको आमाको मृत्यु भइसकेपछि सोशल सेक्युरिटी फन्ड त्यहाँ पनि यो सामाजिक सुरक्षा भत्तामा सामाजिक सुरक्षा कोषमा उनले फोन गर्छिन् त्यहाँ फोन गर्छिन् रिमेम्बर ओके दिस इज द कन्डिसन when I told him that मैले उनलाई when I told him that the SS woman had died उनको आमा he responded well that's right your mother not you know तिम्रो आमाले काम गर्नु भएन नि थाहा छ तिमीलाई उसमा तिमीले किन फोन गरेको भनेर सोध्यो उनले मरे पछाडि पाउने बिमा त आमाले पाउनुहुन्न अब बिमा गरे भने हरेक अफिसरको बिमा हुन्छ अब इट इज वेस्टर्न वान हैन यो त वेस्टर्नको हो त्यता त अभियसली सबैको बिमा थियो मरिसकेपछि बिमाको फन्ड उनीहरूले पाउनेमा उनले फोन गरिन् र उनले त्यो सुरक्षा कोषको मान्छेले फोन उठाएर के भन्छ त्यहाँको रिसिभरले भने योर मदर डिड नट वर्क आमाले त कुनै काम गर्नु भएन नि हाम्रो मम्मीहरू अफिस जानु भएको छैन सो दे डिड नट वर्क घरमा बसेर गरेको कामलाई काम गनिदैन भन्छ उसले योर मदर डिडन्ट वर्क यु नो एट विच पोइन्ट आई स्टुड एन्ड सेड मैले त कसरी बुझेँ भने उनी भन्छन् सी वर्कड हार्डर थ्रु आउट हर लाइफ देन यु आर 100 men लाइक यु तिमीहरू र तिमीहरू जस्ता 100 मान्छेले गर्ने काम मेरो आमाले गर्नुभयो means she has worked very hard in her life and stormed out of his office drove home उनी घर आइन् sat down and wrote the essay in one sitting बसी बसी उनले यो essay लेखिन् this is the essay what she has written after the death of her mother although this narrative essay भनेको कस्तो हो रे What is the narrative essay class? बोल है बोलेन भने त मलाई कस्तो दिक्क लाग्छ बरु आउँदैन भने नो म्याटर बोल्न चाहिँ बोल ओन्ली डट पनि हामीले न्यारेटिभ एसे नै पढायो हो नि अटोबायोग्राफी हो त अब यो न्यारेटिभ एसे भनेको चाहिँ फर्स्ट पर्सन पोइन्ट अफ भ्यूबाट लेखेको अटोबायोग्राफी पनि न्यारेटिभ नै हो भनेर पो भने त मैले फर्स्ट पर्सन पोइन्ट अफ भ्यूबाट लेखेको जति अटोबायोग्राफी होइन अटोबायोग्राफी जति सबै फर्स्ट पर्सन पोइन्ट अफ भ्यूबाट लेखेको हुन्छ भनेको आईबाट लेखेको राइटिङहरु जति सबै के हो न्यारेटिभ राइटिङ ओके यो न्यारेटिभ राइटिङ हो भनेको बोनी स्मिथ एक्कलले आफ्नै कुरा लेखेकी हुन् सी हैज रिटन हर ओन एन्ड हर ओन इभेन्ट तर इट गेट्स म्याच टु all the omens of the world. Although this narrative essay first published in Omen, a journal of liberation in 1907, Journal of Liberation 1975 मा यो पब्लिश भयो is based on personal experience. It also makes a broader statement about how society values women's work. महिलाहरूको कामलाई हाम्रो समाजले कसरी हेर्छ भनेर पनि यसले भन्छ. Now, once again listen me. This is an essay written by Bonnie Smith Ackle. The essay's name, My Mother Never Worked. Bonnie Smith Ackle was born in farm family, agricultural family in Minnesota in 1937. She began writing as a young homemaker from 1960s, and after she has started for 14 years, she wrote book reviews, different publications, and she also worked in local newspaper. This is an essay which she has written after the death of her mother when she had been to social security lawyer and asked about her mother's social security fund after her death, and he has said her that her mother has never worked. अफिसमा काम गरेको भए पो बिमा हुन्छ, काम गरेको भए पो इन्ट्री हुन्छ त हैन. So he said your mother has never worked, so you are not going to get such social security fund. By listening it, she said, my mother has worked very hard and tough in her life. You, like you and hundreds of you. तिमीहरू र तिमीहरू जस्ता 100 मान्छेले गर्ने काम my mother has worked. How can you say that? How can you say that my mother has not worked? So she returned back from there. At home, she sat and she wrote this essay sitting in the same place. This essay was published first in a Journal of Liberation in 1975, and it is totally based in her personal experience, written in first person, that is a narrative form. It is a narrative essay, and from this essay she has presented the woman's work, value of woman's work in society. महिलाहरूको काम समाजले कसरी हेर्छ त, कसरी मूल्य दियो त भन्ने कुरालाई उनले यसबाट भन्छिन्. Are you clear till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Class? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Now,
Yes, ma'am.
yes. Now, background on social security benefits. हो, हाम्रो सोशल सेक्युरिटीमा हुँदाखेरि के फाइदा हुन्छ त, and what happens over there? Social Security is a federal insurance program. यो सङ्घीय बिमा प्रोग्राम कार्यक्रम हो ती देशहरूमा. हाम्रोमा त यो छैन नै. यसमा चाहिँ अहिले चाहिँ हाम्रो के छ भने सोशल सेक्युरिटी भनेर जब गर्नेले बुझेको पैसामा महिनाको 1% कर तिर्ने गर्छौं. हाम्रो सोशल सेक्युरिटी फन्ड चाहिँ त्यही हो है. सो तपाईहरु पनि कतै जब गर्नुहुन्छ नि, you may have know it. So social security is a federal insurance program that requires workers to contribute a percentage of their wages to a fund that they may draw benefit from if they become unemployed due to disability. पछि गएर अशक्त भए, काम गर्न नसक्ने भए उनीहरूले भत्ता पाउँछन्, वेजेसहरु पाउँछन् अहिले गएको बिमाले. After retirement, workers can receive a monthly income from this fund. हाम्रो पेन्सन जस्तै हो के यो. रिटायरमेन्ट पछाडि महिनै पछि पैसा आउने. Which also provides a modest death benefit to survivors. The contribution is generally deducted directly from a worker's paycheck. हैन, काम गर्नेले उले महिनै पछि पाएको स्यालेरीबाटै कटाउने यो पनि होइन. And employers must contribute a matching amount. भनेको जति पर्सेन्ट तोकेको छ त्यति नै उले काट्नुपर्ने हुन्छ. According to federal law, a woman who is homemaker, सङ्घीय कानुन अनुसार, a woman who is homemaker who has never been a wage earner, जसले कहिले ज्याला र काम गर्ने काम गरेन, कमाउने काम गरेन. A woman who is a homemaker who has never been a wage earner is eligible for social security benefits only through the earning of her deceased husband. उनकै श्रीमानको कमाई मात्र उनले पाउँछिन्. आफूले त्यसरी नभइसकेपछि she will not get. The same would be true for a man if the roles were reserved. Therefore, homemakers, surveyors भनेको घरमा काम गर्नेहरू they would not be eligible for the death benefit. उनीहरू मरे पनि केही फाइदा छैन भन्न खोजेको मृत्यु पर्यन्त पाउने उनीहरूको उनीहरूको जुन फन्ड छ त्यो आउँदैन घरमा काम गर्नेहरूको. So, although the law has been challenged in the courts, अदालतसम्म लगियो, the surveyors of a homemaker who has never been a wage earner are still not entitled to a social security death benefit. मुद्दा पनि मुद्दा चाहिँ पर्यो घरमा काम गर्नेलाई पनि हाल्नुपर्छ सोशल सेक्युरिटी बेनिफिटमा भनेर तर इट इज नट इन प्र्याक्टिस प्र्याक्टिसमा चाहिँ छैन. सो वाट इज सोशल सेक्युरिटी बेनिफिट? सामाजिक सुरक्षा भनेको के हो त भन्दा काम गर्ने अफिस र वेजेस जग्गामा यसमा काम गर्नेहरूले महिनैपछि आफूले पाएको स्यालेरीबाट द सर्टेन पर्सेन्ट अफ अमाउन्ट इज डिडक्टेड होइन एकोर्डिङ टु द ल कति काट्ने भनेर चाहिँ त्यति नै डिडक्ट गर्छ एन्ड they will the monthly income will be deducted and when they will be old or they will be retired or they will be unemployed बेरोजगार पनि हुन सक्छन् त्यो बेलामा they will get unemployment fund or they will get after retirement they will get certain amount of money monthly which would be like their salary before which would be like pension of Nepal now गभर्मेन्ट जब होल्डरले जागिर छोडिसके पछाडि पाएको पेन्सन जस्तै हो. आर यु क्लियर?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Clear. So now we are going to essay. We are going through our essay. कसले पढ्छ? देविका, please read aloud the essay.
Okay, ma'am. Social Security Officer, the voice answering the telephone sound very self-assured. I am calling about my mother.
Yes.
She was your on the Social Security. How old was she? She was 78. Do you know her number? No. I don't. You have record. Certainly, I will look up her name. Smith Martin Smith, or maybe she used Martin Smith. Sometimes she used her parent name. Then
अलिक
George.
क्लियर आयो तिम्रो ल देविका प्लिज लेट सिस्टर
Okay, ma'am.
अलिक काटेर आइरहेछ क्या वेट अगुप्ता
Yes, ma'am.
यस प्लिज फर्स्टबाटै पढ ल अघिको उसको त्यति क्लियर भएन.
Okay, ma'am. Social Security Office, the voice answering the telephone sound very self-assured. I'm calling about my mother just died. I was told to. कस्तो इको आइरहेछ नि.
म म्युट गर्छु है त.
Okay. Social Security Office, the voice answering the telephone sound very self-assured. I'm calling about my mother just died. I was told to call you and see about a death benefit check, I think they call it. I see. Was your mother a social security? How old was she? Yes, she was 78. Do you know her number? No, I don't. You have a record? Certainly, I will look it up. Her name, Smith, Martha Smith. Oh, or maybe she used Martha Ruth Smith. Sometimes she used her margin name, Martha Gerard Bake Smith. If you would care to hold on, I'll check our records. It will be a few minutes. Yes. Her love letters to and from Daddy were in an old box were in an old box tied with ribbons and stiff rigged with is leather. I cannot. I don't know why. Ma'am,
If you cannot read,
yeah, I cannot read.
okay, I will read then. Her love
Okay.
letters to and from Daddy were in an old box tied with ribbons and stiff, wreathed with ace leather thongs. 1918 through 1920. Hers written on stationery from the general store she had worked in full time and managed single-headed after her graduation from high school to 1913. And his at first on YMCA or Soldiers and Soldier Club stationery dispensed to the fighting men of Old War first. He wooed her thoroughly and persistently by mail, and though she reciprocated all his feelings for her, she dreaded marriage. It's so hard for me to decide when to have my wedding day. That's all I have thought about these last 2 days. I have told you dozens of times that I won't be afraid of married life. But when it comes down to setting the date, then then picturing myself a married woman with half a dozen or more kids to look after, it just makes me sick. I'm weeping right now. I hope that someday I can look back and say how foolish I was to dread it all. They married in February 1921 and began farming. The first baby, a daughter, was born in January 1922. When my mother was 26 years old. The second baby, a son, was born in March 1923. They were renting farms. My father, besides working in his own fields, also was a hired man for two other farms. They had no capital initially and had to gain it slowly, working from dawn until midnight every day. My town bred mother learned to set hens and raise chickens, feed pigs, milk cow, plant and harvest a garden, and can every fruit and vegetable she could scones. She carried water nearly a quarter of a mile from the well to fish her wash boilers in order to do the laundry on a scrub board. She learned to suck grain, feed threshers, suck and husk corn, feed corn pickers. In September 1925, the third baby came, and in June 1927, the fourth child, both daughters. 1930, my parents had enough money to buy their own farm, and that March, they moved all their livestock and belongings themselves 55 miles over rooted muddy roads. In the summer of 1930, my mother and her two eldest sons reclaimed a 40-acre field from Canadian tester by chopping them all out with a hoe. In the other fields, when the oats and flax began to head out, the green and blue of the crops were hidden by the bright yellow of wild mustard. My mother walked the fields day after day, pulling each mustard plant. She raised a new flock of baby chicks for 500, and she saved up, planted, hoed, and harvested a half-acre garden. During the next spring, their hogs caught cholera and died. No cats that fall. And in the next year, the drought hit. My mother and father toggled from the well to the chickens, the the well to the calf pasture, the well to the barn, and from the well to the garden. The sun came out hot and bright endlessly day after day. The crops shriveled and died. They harvested half the corn and ground the other half, stocked and all, and fed it to the cattle as fodder. With a price of 4 cents a bush for the harvested crops, they couldn't afford to the haul in it into town. They burned it in the furnace for fuel that winter. Remaining चाहिँ हजुरहरूले पढ्ने है त. Now read it. A very interesting one.
Yes, ma'am.
एकदमै interesting essay छ. And this mother should not be our mother. And this mother should not be we ourselves. Okay? I'm not saying a mother only, fathers too. Understood? We'll continue it on Sunday. Okay, class? Your today's homework is
Okay,
read the essay nicely. Okay?
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Bye bye, class. Take care. Have a good
Bye, ma'am.
weekend.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
ma'am.
Good Friday.
Bye, bye, ma'am.